I feel like I make a lot of America-centric videos, which kind of sucks because I know I have a bunch of non-American viewers, but we got a lot of fuckery going on over here, so please just bear with me. So I made a video a while ago where I discussed, among other things, why black people don't tip. And I got a few comments that were saying that my explanation wasn't good enough, and even some comments that were like, oh, you're just defending your race. Black people are just stingy, and you need to admit it. First of all, I'm not defending not tipping. I think stiffing your server or your delivery driver is bad and shouldn't happen, regardless of what you look like. But like I said in that video, I obviously don't buy the idea that black people are assholes. That's not a thing. That's racist. I gave some ideas about what might be happening, such as the idea that maybe subconsciously or maybe even consciously, black people get worse service because people expect them not to tip. I think that happens sometimes, but I don't think that's actually a big issue. It probably doesn't happen that often. What is probably the main issue here is the fact that so many people, especially people from certain backgrounds, don't understand what it's like to rely on tips. I bet if you go around asking people who have never been servers, most of them probably don't even know that servers make like $2 an hour. Times are getting better for sure, do not get me wrong. But historically, black people in many industries, especially the service industry, they get hired at a much lower rate than white people do. So they don't know what it's like. There is no person that has worked a job that relies on tips that won't tip you. Black or white, that's retarded. So by way of logic, that must mean that these people don't work these jobs, which means they don't know what it's like. Like a thing I used to do is I would sometimes go to bars and I'd go to the bartender and I'd be like, hey, what's your cheapest beer? Apparently that pisses bartenders off because it makes you look like a cheapskate that's not gonna give them any money. See, I was just trying to save a buck, but how the fuck was I supposed to know that? I've never been a bartender before. Luckily, I've made a few bartender friends and I kind of get that now, but there's no other way that I would know that. Another example, I don't think girls understand how bad it hurts to be kicked in the balls. They claim they do. I don't think they do, because you don't have nuts. On top of this whole thing, it's usually against the rules to ask or encourage people to give you tips, which is amazing to me. Whoever came up with this setup is a fucking genius. Oh yeah, we're gonna give you a job, but we're not actually gonna give you any of our money. You just kind of gotta go out there and smile and get them to give you their money. And you can't ask for it. No, you just gotta kind of hope they give it to you. Good luck. See, no one's really educated the world about tips. All people know about tips is that they're optional. A lot of people consider tips an extra gift. You know how you go to like McDonald's or something and they say like, would you like to donate an extra $1 to the Ronald McDonald Foundation? And you're like, nah, dog. That's how a lot of people see tips. They see it as a bonus. They don't really understand that it's the main basis of your income. They don't know any better. See, most people who tip well tip because they feel like they should, and they should feel like they should, by the way. Everyone else thinks it's an option based on how good your service was. And even if your service was good, still optional. That's why you can have the sweetest customers. They sit down, they eat their food, and they're so nice to you, and they say bye to you when they leave, and they still leave not shit as a tip. They're not necessarily assholes, they just don't understand the gravity of the situation. Now, obviously, there are some cheap douchebags that completely understand the situation and still don't tip. But I think that's a very small number of people, and I certainly am not going to let you attribute that characteristic to an entire race. No. Personally, I think establishments should allow their workers to be more forward and less coy about asking for tips. And not only that, but educating people about why they need tips. And for the people watching this video, tip your goddamn servers. Tips are the only reason that this person is working this job. You are literally paying their wages. If no one tipped, you would not have a server, or at least you would have a really, really shitty one. And beyond that, do you realize that another fucking human being just fucking served you food as if you are the goddamn Pharaoh of Egypt? You pay for the food, now give the fucking server a couple dollars. If you can afford $20, you can afford $24. God damn it. First of all, I'm not defending not tipping. I think stiffing your server or delivery driver is a bad. You paid for the food, now give the fucking server a fucking